So hi everybody, I welcome here the guy Bass Ventura. What's your actual name?
My name is Louis.
Louis. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So hi Louis, and I have one lesson with you. It was pretty inspiring for me, and I want to continue to develop my beatbox skills. So I'm happy that we can share some knowledge with my community. I hope the viewers will enjoy it.
Hopefully. And if you don't, then make sure you leave a comment. And if you do, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all that good stuff. Make sure you're supporting Dali over here, because if you're not, that's one of my students, and I'm protective of my students, so you'll have me to deal with. All right? Cool.
And the first thing that interests me, how your beatbox journey began?
It's a good question. So my journey with music in general began very, very young. I was probably about 8 or 9. I started playing drums at first. And then I was kind of singing on the side. And as I got older, I stopped playing drums. I got more into beatboxing. And in the early 2000s, illegal rave culture, we used to throw free parties and events, and I would go and perform there. So all the way from like the age of 13, I've been performing beatboxing for all these years. I'm now 26, so it's 13 years experience over that time. And yeah, just been leveling up, trying to get better and better, and obviously took rap and various other stuff on board as well. Just kept developing all the crafts.
Nice. And from that time, you have the photos behind yourself, or it's something different?
Yeah, I mean, this is all achievements and accreditations and global stuff, and this side is all family, friends, and experiences and all sorts of crazy stuff. You'll see there's all kinds of crazy pictures up there on the back, and there's another wall on this side as well.
And what drew you specifically to your name and your choice of style?
So Bass Ventura came around early 2017. I didn't actually have a beatbox name. So we went out one night, me and a friend of mine, Tom, and we had a few too many beers. And we decided I need a new name. And it was going to be like Bass Oven or something to do with bass, because I was always doing a lot of bass stuff that nobody else did. So yeah, it was always very peculiar. And I didn't really know what I was going to do. And then my friend Tom turned to me and he said, Bass Ventura. And I went, that's it. And ever since then, first video came out. It was titled Bass Ventura. It got shared by Chris Brown and loads of huge artists all over social media and stuff. And I was like, wow, I can actually do this. And then from that point, it was too late to change the name. So it stuck. So it's good.
So you had explosive start.
Big time. Yeah, it was crazy. And it's just continued the same the whole way through. It's wild.
Mm-hmm. And you develop these sounds by yourself, or you get some inspiration?
Yeah, no, I developed all my bass sounds and all that kind of stuff on my own. And it was kind of a good thing, because I developed an original style, which I think is sometimes very hard to come by in beatboxing nowadays. And I'm glad that I did. Everything happens for a reason. So, it kind of hit me in 2017 when I actually met other beatboxers and stuff. I'd seen a couple online, and when I was younger, I had to travel 2 cities away to go and meet one beatboxer, and maybe learn one sound. Whereas now it's like, traveling the world and meeting like 50 every country I go to, and it's like, what's going on? But yeah, very, very blessed that I just kind of stayed in this cocoon for a little bit, and then was able to, show off what I'd learned. And I thought I was terrible. I thought I was awful. Wow. Apparently not, which was a relief, a big relief. Yeah, it was good.
You think it was some struggle with self-esteem, or you just don't have the comparison, or?
Yeah, definitely a point of not having a comparison. But on the same token, it was more everybody else's opinion that was in my head. Every beatboxer knows when you start out and you're growing up, everyone's like, shut up, that sounds stupid, that's annoying, da 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 da. And I live in a town where if there's anything new, it's instantly like kill it, like get rid of it, you know. So my town never did me any favors at all. So as soon as I got the chance to get out, I did.
So
And it
it's
was the
like you
best
were
thing.
under the like the pot, you know, just boiling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was the best thing I ever did. Best
Wow.
thing I ever did was just say, I'm out. And
And
it was
when
great.
you compare, you said you have some knowledge and experience from abroad. So can you tell what's the difference between your community of beatboxers, if you have some in UK, compared to the world?
Yeah, I mean, so in the UK, I mean, I didn't really know any, but I didn't know any beatboxers in the UK. I knew maybe like one or two, and I spoke to me and D'Lo back in the day. Used to speak on Instagram. I think we were both the first beatboxers each other knew on
Mhm.
Instagram. We sent beats back and forth. I might be wrong on that, but I could have sworn that's what we discussed back in like 2017 or something. And it was crazy because, you know, as soon as I went away, it was just like the first time I felt accepted for doing something that I love, as opposed to being rejected because of that. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, I was always a popular person because I'm very social. But the beatboxing side of it was something nobody ever accepted in a way. They were just kind of like, you know.
Mhm.
And granted, you know, when you're starting out, you don't sound that good. You know,
Mhm.
you've got to really work on it and work on it. And now I guarantee any of those people will come straight back and be like, "Oh, it sounds amazing," and I'm like, "All right, okay." Um, but yeah, I mean, I think there is differences in culture. I know that like the French are way more calculated. I feel like than the UK is, and they have definitely a tighter structure of community. America are very similar in that sense. I feel like in the UK it's quite sporadic. We don't have really many, if any, events. Um, you know, there are like cliques. It's not like a whole community together.
Mhm.
It's like small portions of people here, there, and everywhere. Um, which is fine, and you know, everybody finds their friend groups, but I don't know. I don't like that clickiness. You
Mhm.
know, I don't really like that kind of energy sometimes. So I do a lot of my stuff on my own, and all my closest and dearest are all over the world. That, you know, US, Croatia,
Mhm.
France, Spain, New Zealand, Finland, Australia, you name it, everywhere.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of good friends globally, which I'm very blessed to have.
Nice. So nice. And do you perform a lot, or you are more teaching? How you have it like during your, I don't know, months or?
Yeah, so it all depends really. I do perform a lot. I do teach a lot. I do a lot of a lot of things. I never get a minute to myself, which is good, but very tiring at the same time. When I'm back home here, I'm mainly focusing on projects and teaching. So I'm working on music, I'm working on shows, show scripts, structures, all these different things, new beats, new songs, lyrics, you name it. Obviously, lessons, clothing, jewelry, all sorts of bits, streaming as well. But when I'm away, I'm just constantly performing. Since the beginning of 2022, I've been to 52 different countries, 78 cities, performed easily over a few hundred shows, I would say. Like, it's been pretty wild.
Well,
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
been
doing it by
crazy.
your own, or you have some band, or?
Now just me for the most part. Part of that I was in a theater show called
Ah.
Noise Boys. That was one that helped with about half of the travel.
Mhm.
Um, that was great. You know, did that traveled around for a good bit for about 6 to 8 months. Um, saw a load of Europe, saw a load of South America, America itself as well. Miami, Tampa. Where else? Cape Canaveral, New York, you name it, tons of places. It was just here, there, and everywhere. So that was the only real group setting. I do have a new show called B Squared, which is me and a guy called Beatbox. I don't know if you remember Beatbox. He's an absolute legend, the legend of London, we call him, because he is like underground, overground, and everything in between. This guy is like the real deal. So we've been performing and shopping that show around a good bit, which is a brand new show concept, never been done before. Can't get into it too much because we're saving it for some of the bookers, but yeah, it's a really dope show. And I think that's pretty much it. Everything outside of that has been solo. I'm pretty sure, judging championships or, festivals in different countries and all that kind of stuff. I think the rest of it's been solo for the most part.
Nice. Can you share us some beat or exercise you made today?
Oh, I've made no beats today.
No beats today. Oh.
No. Today has literally just been doing taxes, doing all the business management stuff, because I woke up this morning and I did a lot of beatboxing stuff last night, just kind of like playing around. But my jaw this morning, I woke up and I was like, oh. So I just said, right, no music. Let's just get the stuff I don't want to do done. And then I can relax, and then we're all set for Christmas then, and I can just.
Exactly. I think now is the time, to relax. And
I have no days off up until New Year, and actually no, up until the 7th of Jan. So I've got like half of Christmas Day off, where I can eat, and then everything else is just it's forward. But I mean, if you want to make the dream happen, it's what you've got to do. So.
Nice. Therefore, you can enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the little things, little things.
Can you show me some exercises like that's good for like beginners, and then some skillful, like intermediate, for example, beatboxers?
Yeah. Well, it all depends, really. I would always recommend using a metronome and kind of playing around with different flows, or exercising to music, trying to syncopate in between. One thing that really helped me, because it helped me kind of understand beats a little bit more. When I started out doing competitions, I was actually in tag team when I was doing competitions, so it's 2v2. And I would record myself beatboxing, and then I would beatbox over that and try and make something full. And then I would tell my tag team partner, you do this. They've got the exact recording, and then I know what I have to do as well. And that helped me develop more thought behind like production of beats, as opposed to just like I'm doing it all with my mouth and I want to get all of my ideas across. It made me comfortable kind of sitting back a little bit and making things simple. And that's one of the biggest things when you're starting off, because it's almost easier to go and, do. It's almost easier to do that for some people than to be like. So I realized that quite early on, and I was like, I have to train the simple stuff. So I went back and started developing that. And that was one of the biggest things, both beginner and intermediate, that I realized I needed. Obviously, it's different for every beatboxer, but yeah, that was a big wake up call. I was like, oh, shit. It was wild.
Yeah, I also was fascinated by your bassy sounds, because I'm pretty much into the throat singing, and developing the bassy sounds. And for me, it was very interesting way how you approach it. It's more like through the breathing than through the making the voice. That was interesting for me.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I think they're all I think everything's as important as each other, but it depends, because some people prefer to, go from the voice, and that helps it click easier for them. I have about 10 different ways of teaching pretty much anything. So if that doesn't make sense to you, then we'll try a different approach, and one of them's bound to work. And when it does, then something in your head just goes, oh, Okay, I've got it, So it's just through experience of teaching. I mean, I've been teaching for about 6 years now, luckily, and I actually had to look back through, and I've had over like 300 to 500 students, somewhere between that. I don't know. Definitely more than 3, definitely no more than 5. I don't know where in between it is, because I
Like
couldn't even
one-on-one,
tell
you
you.
mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, if we count if we count workshops, like in schools, like a class of 30, and we're talking thousands maybe or something. I mean, I did that for years,
I
and I
thought so,
actually,
because I'm teaching
yeah,
like for 8 years, and I also like thousands of people. But
yeah,
when you're teaching one-on-one, it's much more harder to
yeah,
get
to
the
like
time
actually
right,
guess it. I'd have to look through like my PayPal or whatever for like, a very long time and be like, was that a lesson? I don't know. But I remember core students, and I remember like waves of students that come through, and I've kind of added roughly all that kind of stuff up.
Mhm.
I mean, I was actually teaching beatboxing before I was a quote unquote beatboxer,
Ah,
before I actually was Bass Ventura, before I came into the scene and did all that kind of stuff. I was teaching, performing, doing all of that. I came into the scene and saw battles, and I was like, sick. And then I was like, oh, it doesn't keep your dream alive. It doesn't pay you or anything. And I was like, "Oh, I'll go back to what I was doing before."
mhm.
Yeah.
And do you have some tips for to make your live performance better, or it's some way how you prepare for it?
Yeah, so number one, think outside the box. You have to make sure that you have some comedy in there. You have to make sure you have some fun, interactive kind of game or song or something. I like a little bit of stand-up comedy. I like a little bit of satire, a little bit of dry humor. Um, Another important thing is warm up correctly beforehand. A lot of people don't do this, but it really makes the difference. I think it's really important. Um, what else? There's tons of things. Make sure you have a good structure, obviously, for your songs, but at the same time, make sure you don't go too hard too quick, especially with beatboxing, because like a beatbox audience will understand the kind of constant shift in level and the kind of wave of hype that you'll take them through, but a public audience need to digest what beatboxing is first. So start really, really from the basics, even if it's just like,
Mhm.
and then develop from there and be like, okay, this is how I'm going to do this and what I'm going to do here and da 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 da. But keeping it simple is one of the main things that people really, really forget in beatboxing, because it's easy for people to go, I want to show all my cool stuff, all my best stuff that I've worked really hard on. Great. But what I will do usually is I'll keep very simple stuff, and I'll build that rapport with the crowd, a couple of covers or whatever, and I'll be like, right, ladies and gentlemen, um, as you know, I'm a professional beatboxer. I've been in these kind of competitions. I want to show you what it takes to win these kind of competitions, or what kind of style you have to take to approach these kind of things. Imagine it as if what we've done already is like Usain Bolt going for a jog, and now what we're going to do is a full sprint in the Olympics. Who's ready for it? And instantly they're on board, and their mind is open, and they're ready to accept the information. Even if they don't understand it, they're willing to try to resonate with it. And that's something that I think is one of the most important barriers to break down, because it's easy when you're like doing crazy technical fills and all this, and they're just like, it's too much. It's too much,
It's very much
So,
building the connection with the public. Yeah,
oh, of course, I think you should be talking in your sets,
yeah.
a good amount. I think, because as beatboxers, we're making a lot of sound, but we're actually saying nothing for the most part. Yes, we can use a complex range of pitch, of like melodies and tempo and various other things to elicit emotion to the listener, but it's very rare that you'll get the perfect message across. So sometimes when you have a chance to talk, make it count. And the audience will always like your music. They will always like your beats. But the times where you talk is where the audience fall in love with you. And that's what you need. That's what you need to achieve. And if you can get them to fall in love with you early, the rest of the set will be more receptive. The response will be better. There'll be more bookings. There'll be more following. There'll be all these things will start to develop. And it's hard to do, but it's trial and error. And you have to keep trying different things to, you know, find the perfect synergy for you every time. For me, I'm a bit cheeky and, you know, I embarrass people in the crowd and all sorts of stuff, and people love it because I'm just there having fun and I'm just being me. Some people might like to have really emotional moments. Some people might like to, you know, be quite aggressive, and some people might love that. You know, it's all each to their own. It depends on the people.
And what is some technique or style you want to learn?
A technique or style I want to learn. I think inward bass would be smart for me to actually master, because I do need more inward sounds. And I think it would pair nicely with my bass. I think I'm still developing the inward K. I'm still trying to get that a little bit more, you know, punchy and techy and whatnot. But a style that I would like to develop. Ooh. Yeah, that's a tough one. I would love to be able to beatbox kind of like drill beats a little bit better, Bali funk, reggaeton, amapiano, all the very simple stuff but effective. Yeah, just stuff like that, I think. I mean, I think I've got everything else covered for the most part.
Do you use also just some technology like looper or effects? No,
just one microphone and my face. But I do obviously, you know, create music, produce stuff. I work with a lot of producers and a lot of DJs and a lot of all this different stuff. So that 2024 is going to have some mind-blowing, revolutionary beatbox meets the rest of the world kind of moments in it, which is going to be great.
And how
it's all coming.
How do you feel actually when you are beatboxing? Do it somehow works for you, like emotionally, or?
It never used to be this way, but when I'm beatboxing, I feel focused. I never used to be focused. And that was one of the reasons why I started beatboxing in the first place. If you think about it, the level of brain activity that is required to be able to create percussion, melodies, bass lines, you know, your basic drums, whatever else, all of these things in one, whilst also remembering structure, timing, choreography, you know, everything from just like general pitching, breath control. Like it is like a full, like your brain is like a full computing system, supercomputer, just trying to keep up. So when I get into that place, I am super dialed in and focused, and I can really, really get some cool stuff done that way, which is great. And it actually restructured my life from when I was younger, because when I was beatboxing, I was very all over the place. I didn't really know what was going on. I couldn't focus on tasks and so on. And it just helped me home in. And it taught me a lot about myself and the way my brain works. And it also created a lot of confidence and structure within my life, because there's something in beatboxing which I call micro achievements. And it's basically, you know, you've just perfected that sound. You've just you've just made this new beat. There's all these different little achievements that you have, and it's the constant reminder of I'm capable, I will, that, you know, nothing's impossible. So it changed my life in that sense, because
Děkuju, a pokud se chceš dokoukat na celý rozhovor s Bass Venturou, tak si klikni na odkaz pode mnou nebo nade mnou v rámci Hero. Můžeš mě podpořit v tvorbě dalších podobných videí. Chci pouze 5 € a najdeš tam tenhle i další mnohé rozhovory v celé délce a taky exkluzivní lekce, kde třeba sdílím techniky, konkrétní beatboxové techniky a rady a tipy, které mám přímo od Bass Ventury z našich online lekcí. Kdyby tě zajímalo, co dál je v tomhle rozhovoru, který najdeš v Hero to Hero, tak řešíme hlavně, jak vlastně věci stavět, jak ten beatbox pomáhá nejenom se soustředit, ale i stavět určité věci, třeba jako business, nějaké motivační tipy, sdílení stylů, sdílení toho, jak se koukat do sebe a v neposlední řadě hodně zajímavé téma. Bavili jsme se o tom, že se můžeme učit beatbox ve snech a bavili jsme se i o spojitosti s lucidním sněním. Takže to je hodně zajímavý. No, takže to je všechno, mrkněte na to, najdete to v Hero Hero a já vám ještě jednou děkuji, že sledujete můj YouTube a že mě podporujete. Mějte se, zatím čus. Čus, čus.